Everyone. It's Monday, May 3rd, 7 p.m. Welcome to the Peabody Institute Library Trustees, Board of Library Trustees meeting. In accordance with the Governor's order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, GLD 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order, imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Board of Library Trustees will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. No in-person attendance or members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. Alternative public access to this meeting shall be provided in the following manner. The meeting will be televised via Peabody Access Television, and real-time public comment during the meeting can be addressed to the Board of Library Trustees utilizing Zoom virtual meeting software for remote access. This application will allow users to view the meeting and make a comment or question to the chair via the audio option. And there's a link provided in all the contact information below. Moving on to the agenda here for this evening, I'd like to have an approval for this agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, Don. And the second from Stephanie, I see.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The motion carries. Thank you. Can I have a call to order, please? Catherine?
Rick Schruin.
Oops.
Here.
Stephanie Dallaire.
I think some of us are taking turns being frozen.
Peter Bakula. Morgan Yo.
Present.
Kate O'Brien.
Present.
Ann Quinn.
Present.
John McAllister.
Here. Present.
Fran Gallucci. Stephanie Najjar.
Here.
And Tom Pappas.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Okay, we also have minutes from the last meeting. Do I have a motion to accept these meeting minutes?
Accept the minutes.
Thank you,
Last
Stephanie.
meeting.
And Ann, thank you for your second. Well,
No. I have a comment.
Okay, how about now that
Minutes.
how about a discussion? Ann, you go ahead, please.
Right at the beginning.
I'm sorry. Did you also give me a second? I need a second in order to go into this.
Oh. Oh, all right. I'll second.
All right, second, and go ahead with your comments, Ann. Thank you.
Right at the beginning, it says since it relates to me. I know you think I'm a pain in the neck about this, but this is an official document, and so I think that it should be very clear and very well done. And I did not share a typo, which seems like a very petty kind of thing, and I don't really do that. But what I shared was a clarification of language that related to how we were handling, or how people were handling books and staff were handling books. So it was just a clarification. It was not a typo from the March minutes. I'd like to have that change made.
All right, thank you. And just my comments too on this is that I think that Catherine is doing a fantastic job on these minutes, and I don't think that typos are a bad thing. And I think that clarifications, typos, and all kinds of details that we look at when we review these minutes are all very important.
Typos are different.
They are, but they're just
transposition of a letter, but a change in the meaning of something.
Yeah, and please don't be thinking that anybody thinks that you're a pain when we go do this kind of a review. all these things are important, and they're all on the table. That's why we do review them. Again, Catherine, thanks for doing a great job on these. All right, any other commentary? Okay, all in favor for receiving as amended, and if we can make an amendment, please, Ann.
Whoops.
Or is that Stephanie, whoever made the motion?
Uh-oh.
I was making a motion, but I mean, I thought you said all in favor. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I'm jumping around.
That's okay.
So Ann, would you like to make that motion as amended, please?
I'm having trouble with the Zoom business right here. I will make a motion to accept the minutes as amended.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. The motion carries. Thank you. Okay, receipt of communication. We don't have any communications to receive.
Okay, here we're back. Here I am.
And then the report of our library director, Kate Merlin.
Good evening, everybody. So the director's report to the Board of Library Trustees, May 2021. Staffing. Staff are working in the buildings full-time and happy to be somewhat back to business as usual. Main library staff are working solely at the main library, and branch staff are alternating between the south and west branches in preparation for reopening. I've offered the full-time position of Senior Local History and Public Services Librarian to Catherine Badal, who currently works at the Harvard Botany Library. She will begin on Monday, May 17th. And then Allison Bridgewater has accepted the position of Senior Children's Librarian and will begin on Monday, May 31st. I apologize for the date being wrong there. She previously worked in our teen and reference departments before teaching abroad and is excited to return. And we have begun the hiring process to fill the currently funded 6 aide positions that are necessary to open the branches and expand main library hours, and expect to welcome back many aides who were unfortunately laid off last spring. Reopening. The main library opened for browsing and appointment-based computer use on Tuesday, April 20th. Crowds have been steady and increasing as more and more people learn about our reopening. Patrons and staff alike are thrilled for the main library to return to a semblance of normal, and patrons have largely embraced the changes necessary to open with everyone's safety in mind. The MeScan self-checkout system has proven to be extremely popular with patrons and easy to use, and the addition of the welcome desk and holds pickup in the lobby have proven to be a good use of a previously underutilized area, and patrons enjoy seeing a friendly face upon arrival. As soon as aide positions are filled, we will move forward with reopening the south and west branches on a limited schedule. All further expansions of branch and main library hours will require a restoration of more aide positions in the FY22 budget, so we will be in this holding pattern for a while. Current main library hours for the public are Mondays through Thursdays from 10 to 4 and Saturdays from 10 to 2. And then when we hire the fill the aide positions, future branch hours will be South Branch Mondays and Tuesdays, Mondays from 10 to 4 and Tuesdays from 2 to 8. And West Branch Wednesdays from 10 to 4 and Thursdays from 2 to 8. So South on Monday, Tuesday, West on Wednesday and Thursday, and then alternating Saturday mornings. Excuse me. When 6 aides are hired, the main library will also add Monday and Wednesday evenings until 8 p.m. The state has removed library-specific reopening guidelines, and with this removal has rescinded the requirement that libraries quarantine materials before reshelving. As research has continued, the CDC now states that, quote, based on available epidemiological data and studies of environmental transmission factors, service transmission is not the main route by which SARS-CoV-2 spreads, and the risk considered to be low. In accordance with the most recent recommendations, we and all, I'm not sure if it's all yet, but it's most other Noble libraries as of this morning, are eliminating the quarantining of returned, delivered, and browsed materials, and will return to our pre-pandemic check-in and shelving protocols. This will mean faster check-in times for patrons, and that holds will arrive from other libraries in 2 to 3 business days. Budget. The current budget is included for your review. I sent that along as well. The only thing of note is that our outside services line item is overspent due to elevator and HVAC expenses, but funds may be shifted around at the end of the FY to cover these costs. And a few items are underspent due to our being closed for so long, like our supplies budget. We are on track to spend the correct amount of books and materials funds, which needs to be 12% of our original budget, or $178,000, to meet that part of the MBLC certification requirements. This last section needs to be amended. President Pappas and I were supposed to have our budget meeting with the mayor tomorrow. It's going to be rescheduled for next week due to the availability of the head of finance. So it's not tomorrow. So TBD on that. But the budget proposal that was requested by the city was for level funding, which staffing wise would keep us limited to the limited main, south, and west hours outlined above, and would also necessitate the further reduction of branch hours in September when a full 63 hours per week are required at the main library for MBLC certification. Policy. As I requested via an email vote in late April, in order to avoid confusion among patrons and staff, I am requesting that the board approve the following highlighted addition. It's just down at the bottom that face coverings must cover a visitor's mouth and nose simultaneously. Excuse me. Audubon's. The Peabody Institute Library Foundation has voted to revisit the funding of Audubon restoration until our FY22 budget is finalized, as the foundation does not wish to fund this expensive undertaking if the library is not funded at the level it needs to be fully certified by the MBLC. As the trustees allocate state aid funding for this venture, I also suggest that the spending of state aid for restoration be suspended until we learn more about the FY22 budget. And then buildings and grounds. During this past week's storms, a downspout at the main library that has a history of overflowing backed up, causing water to flow into the courtyard, library, lobby, and hallway under the glass walls around the courtyard entrance, wetting carpets well into the teen room. The water also flowed down into the children's room ceiling directly below, causing 5 ceiling tiles to fall in and wet the carpet below. The downspout has done this for years and has been considered something to live with under our past 2 directors, as well as myself. A normal rainstorm wets the carpet around 6 inches into the lobby and hallway, so this level of damage was unprecedented. The seeping of water happened after the storm had ended, so Saturday staff arrived to wet carpets, falling ceiling tiles, and a musty smell. After senior adult services librarian Gabriella Toth's heroic efforts to determine how to still open the library while avoiding the wet areas, the flickering of a few staff computers led me to determine that the best and most safe course of action was to close for the day from 10 to 2. I arrived along with President Pappas and Trustee Shruhan to assess the situation, and more issues with the area were noticed, such as the downspout not being correctly secured to the building, another downspout not connected to the gutter, etc., because there are more. I reported this information to the assistant head of facilities, who sent employees to the main library this morning. And as of noon, the fallen tiles in the children's room had been replaced and the drains in the courtyard were snaked. There do not appear to be any continued electrical issues, but the city electrician will also do an evaluation later this week. President Pappas, Trustee Shruhan, and I are determined that this problem downspout and related issues finally be solved. And I will continue to speak with the facilities department and mayor this week and beyond to move forward. And that's it.
Thank you, Kate. That was, it was, when I arrived there, I was surprised to see this water damage. It was not just leaking on the floor when you walk into the courtyard entrance, but it went everywhere. And this water might look like it's coming in underneath the windows, but I have questions of if we're properly interfaced correctly with the old building wall to the new building, because those tend to be areas of ingress of water. They're not done properly at times. And if they get old, caulking does fail. And you're able to see from the ground all the way up to the gutters, 2 stories up, that you have failing caulking up there. So I can only imagine what's happening between walls and things. And as we saw that things were wet, when we went downstairs, the water was way far from the area where you think it's coming in from that downspout, because the water does travel. And we also went into the garage and found out that there's a downspout that unloads in there into some drain pipe. So there's water being found everywhere. There's water even by, if you're familiar, down by the children's floor, that there's a Wizard of Oz display. It's got the green paint there at the plates. That corner has water too. Rich pointed out there's even water coming in through there. So, you know, this isn't an issue of we'll put a sandbag up in front of the window. It just, I was surprised to see what was there. And it sounded worse than it looked. And then when you get there and you start taking a look further, it got even worse. But Rich, I don't want to take your thunder away. And Kate, thank you for your report. Are there any questions for Kate? Go ahead, Ann.
Well, I just wonder, is this issue with the downspouts and such, is it some kind of a basic design problem?
Yeah, we could debate that. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
I have no idea,
so
but
if you come to the library and you're looking at the courtyard entry and you're looking at the courtyard lobby entrance, there's a corner where the glass walls outside the teen room meet the old building. And there's a downspout that comes all the way down to the 3rd floor. When it rains hard, and Morgan, I'm sure, has seen this before, this has been happening forever. When it rains really hard, it's an older gutter as well, so the rivets holding it together don't really work also. So it goes down into the floor of the lobby or the courtyard as well. So it's not really going into a drain that we can see, but something backs up to the point where it shoots back up, and then it comes out as a fountain through every single juncture in the downspout as well, because the rivets don't hold it together. And it is a fountain against the glass and down the glass, and there's sandbags there. And it has been there as long as I've been there, and I've been there 6 years. And I spoke with Melissa Robinson about it, and her memory was a little hazy, other than she's brought it up to she said the two past facilities directors, and she said, quote, there was a lot of shrugging of shoulders. So it was never seen as a really big problem. It was just kind of seen as like, that's the way it is, and there's not really anything we can do about it. And it's just, it rains and there's a musty smell and the carpet gets wet and we put up the big fans and we deal with it. But this is the worst it's ever, I've never seen it.
Yeah.
And I told Melissa, and she also was shocked because she had been there forever as well, and she had never seen this like this. So, you know, as much as I don't want there to be this kind of damage and scare everybody, I kind of hope that this is the proverbial straw that breaks the camel's back, and we actually can get a capital allotment or something to fix this, because it's not just the rivets aren't holding. It's also how that same downspout is connected to the building, and the other downspout on the other side, which is not even connected to the gutter. It's a whole system that's failing. And this can't keep happening, because it was pretty alarming, given what we expect on a normal storm basis anyway. So I think it's time to move forward on this.
And I would think that.
Thank you, Kate. Wait a minute, Ann, I'm sorry. Stephanie, go ahead, please.
So is this is all exterior?
Yes.
So that doesn't seem to me, anyway, I'm ignorant to, maintenance requirements, so forgive me, but it sounds like something on the outside of a building. Why would it be such a big deal to just redo gutters? I mean, that's like probably one of the least expensive worries of a homeowner, never mind, of any kind of a building. So I'm surprised. It just sounds so simple to me in a way, like just then put a whole new gutter system, which is still on the exterior, so it's not complicated. You know what I mean?
So part of my thinking is that because we only recently became part of the city's facility department, we kind of were our own thing with our own little facilities director who had a checkered history with the library. My assumption is that also part of the reason it never really got taken care of as well, because we were kind of our own entity, and it was a lot more complicated and maybe not dealt with, because the old facilities guy for the library was not really apt to take care of it as well. I've noticed that a lot of things that were not really dealt with before, now that we are part of the facilities department, I've been able to get done at a fraction of the cost without it even being a more than a 2-day job, like getting a new AC condenser at the South Branch. It always was like a big process with bids, and then it was just done the minute I asked for it from the facilities department. Sorry, Rick, I interrupted you.
Thank you.
All set, Stephanie?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, Rick, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I was going to hold off on some of these questions, but I want to jump in. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. So there's multiple things. Ian asked one question. I think the drains are big enough. Don't think of your drains at your house. These drains go up 40 feet. I think the problem is they're falling apart. All the rivets are bad. And it's also coming away from the building, all the supports. So that's a first thing. Then also me and Tom noticed that it seems like there's debris in the gutters, that it wasn't getting there. And then the second one was pulled away. So I don't think the gutters were probably okay 20 years ago, but now they're pulled away. The rivets, the hangers on them are no good. And in one area where the gutter separated, it might be a blessing, because that's the one that goes into the garage. And I was afraid that if it was attached, that we'd get twice the volume and it would have flooded the garage. Bottom line is they all need to be fixed. Somebody needs to get up there. And remember, this is like 40 feet. This is like a 4-story building. So it's not like Billy Bob gutter guy can come out and do this. But Ann suggested, and I was talking about, we need somebody to look at this. These drains are literally at least 4 times bigger than the ones on your home. But that's also a huge roof too. So, but after we do this, which is the top priority, is to get these drains fixed, then we need to walk around the building and look at the other ones. Because just because we're not having a problem today doesn't mean we'll have a problem later. And when Can I just keep going? I mean,
If you want,
Yeah.
you can keep on going, but if this is something you feel will be better under your committee reports, we can have a
well, that's
longer
what I'm
con-
saying. I'll wait for that. It's
We're-
just, they were asking a lot of questions I was going to
we're just
answer.
about there. So, if there's, are there any more questions for Kate? All right, well, thank you, Kate, for your, oh, I'm
I
sorry.
think other Kate had a question.
Kate O'Brien. So Rick, I'm going to hold you off until we have all
Thank you.
questions out to Kate, and then we'll continue with your discussion under your committee. Thank you. Go ahead, Kate.
Yeah, I was just wondering, do you have a timeline, Kate, of when you think you'll be able to get the branches? Because I know you're still hiring and stuff.
Yeah.
Is that going
So
smoothly?
I just sent a letter to all the aides that had been laid off in the spring, telling them that they were eligible for rehire, and we're doing it based on seniority, basically. But it's a different job description now because we have to have aides that are able to bounce between each branch and work at all three branches because we have half of the age we did. So it's kind of a different, we've worked with the union and HR to tweak the job description to be what the library needs these days for operations. So we've asked everybody to contact us by this coming Friday to let us know if they're in or not, and if this still works for them or they've moved on. And then I imagine it's going to be a couple days of tracking down the people we didn't hear from. And then everybody does have to get re-queried and kind of go through that hiring process. Once everybody is actually hired, I think reopening will go pretty quickly, but it's just that the hiring process itself is slow. So my hope is Memorial Day, beginning of June, probably. I just need to have these people hired and queried and do everything according to the letter.
Of course.
We're getting there. It's moving forward now. It's been kind of in a holding pattern, but now we're moving forward, and we're hearing back from people who are interested and people who the new job description doesn't quite work for them, or they've moved on and gotten other jobs. So we're hearing back from people now, which is exciting, and we're moving forward. So early June, I'm hoping, unless something goes awry, which you never know.
And after you rehire those positions, how many positions are you down total from like the cut?
Yep. So then we had 13 aides before, so I'd still be down 7 aides. And I'd be down 8 pages, which they were the reshelving people. So I did not request those in next year's budget. But that is extra work for everybody else to do. It's all the shelving that 8 people used to do part-time. And then I'm also still down the Sunday librarian position and the West Branch Children's Librarian position and the Senior South Branch Librarian position. So still a lot of people. I'm hoping that the FY22 budget can be figured to include more aides and the Senior South Branch Librarian position to restore those positions, because we can keep going like we're doing with kind of limited hours everywhere and half hours at the branches. We can do that with 6 more aides and with these 2 senior staff members I have coming on, but it's not really expandable beyond that, unfortunately. So we're kind of limited if we don't restore more positions in the next year's budget. So,
And that's going to affect our certification anyway.
Yeah. So the certification,
That's square one again.
there's a certain population-based hours open per week and days open per week that's required by the MBLC. And for cities our size, it requires that we're open, I think, 6 days a week and 63 hours a week. Right now, the main library is not open 63 hours a week, and it's only open 5 days a week. So we would have to add back, or is it 7 days a week? I'm forgetting. It's either 6 or 7 days a week, but it's 63 hours a week. Based on our old schedule, which was Monday through Thursdays, 9 to 9, Fridays from 9 to 1, Saturdays 9 to 5, and Sundays 1 to 5, we had like 1 or 2 extra hours of wiggle room there. So we essentially have to get back to our full 9 to 9, 4 days a week, Friday mornings, all day Saturday, and then Sunday afternoon hours after Labor Day. And so at that point, I think we're going to have to, take more from, bring aides over from the branches and, reduce branch hours to get to the full hours that the main library needs. Cause that's the only thing that's counted by the MBLC, unfortunately, is main library hours. So it continues. So in a perfect world, our budget would be restored and we'd be able to restore these positions and life would return to normal. But, we'll see.
Thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions for Kate?
I move to make a motion to accept the report of the library director.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Morgan.
Second.
I'm sorry, Morgan gave us a second. Next time, Don. All in favor? Any well, first of all, any discussion? Sorry about that. No discussion, all in favor? Okay, any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Kate. This brings us to the report to the subcommittees. Rich, please go ahead. You're first with Building and Grounds. Continue where you left off. But before you do, I just want to say something in addition to our patrons. While we were there on Saturday, there must have been at least a dozen patrons that were being turned away at the door as we were going through touring the damage. So I was happy to see that there were so many patrons, but sad to see that we had to have them turn away. So the library is very active and it needs to be opened. Rich, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll make this as quick as possible. Basically, the main priority right now is those gutters. Then there's the second priority, I think, is the electrical wiring in the garage. There was a lot of rusty conduit. There was a couple unauthorized wire jobs, so to speak. So we need the city electrician to look at that, replace all the conduit. Then I think Tom came up with a great idea. We need to check the seal between the two buildings. I believe the new library edition was like 1976, 77, if I remember right. So it could have failed. And then so let's work on those three things. Kate, I have a lot of flexibility in my hours. So if you can get something going, I can actually go to work at 5 o'clock in the morning and leave early if I want. So just let me know, because I'd like to walk through with them. And then the last thing I was going to suggest, we do this at my facilities. We do like a walkthrough, for lack of a better word. We call it an OSHA walkthrough. But I was going to suggest you, myself, Tom, Al Hayden, and I was going to ask Dawn, because he's been around the longest, if we could just spend, it would be an hour and a half, 2 hours, go from the attic down and just put a fresh pair of eyes on everything and say, oh, we need to look at that. And maybe we could get Al to keep a list, and then we'd have a spreadsheet or a template or a punch list to work on some of these things after we correct this major thing. And that's basically the only thing I want to say. And I'll be, whenever you can schedule that, I'll make myself available. Thank you.
I would suggest that we invite Sean Meager, our custodian, to accompany us on the walkthrough, because he knows that building inside and out.
Oh, that's great. Great idea. Thank you.
Sure, of course.
Good ideas, everyone. I like that we're going to actually try to see what might be wrong with the building and actually document it, so we don't have any surprises.
And I would also like to do this at the branches as well.
That's even better. The idea gets even better. I think that's a good idea. What do you think, Rick?
I think that would be great, especially before we open. Maybe we can catch some problems.
Okay. Well, we should try to schedule something and try to figure out what time works best for everybody as well, too. All right. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, everybody, on that. Audubon Prince, Anne?
Well, Kate reported that the fund had met and has agreed to suspend any funding for restoration of the Audubons until things get a little more, the budget situation gets a little more settled. And Stephanie will have a fuller report on the foundation activity.
Thank you, Anne. Personnel, Don McAllister.
Nothing in addition to the director's report.
Thank you, Don. Policy and procedures, Kate O'Brien.
Did that go over?
It did. It did. Thank you.
Nothing more than what Kate reported. We just have to vote on that amendment to the mask policy.
Thank you, Kate. Liaison to the Friends of the Peabody Institute Library, Morgan Yo.
I have nothing to report as of now.
All right, thank you. And liaison to the Peabody Historical Society, Stephanie Delar, I'm reaching out to her. I have nothing to report at this time either. Liaison to the Peabody Institute Library Foundation, Stephanie Najjar.
Okay, we've had a couple of meetings, actually the month of April. We had a committee meeting, early April, events committee meeting, and then our quarterly meeting was just last Wednesday. So mostly, we're all sounding a little repetitive since this whole pandemic has hit, but we're discussing ways to move forward with fundraising because we're not quite out of the woods with being allowed to hold events indoors with so many people and all of that. So it doesn't make sense to spend money and not get money, make money in return, which is the goal, is to fundraise. So we're still working on that aspect of things, opening things up, trying to focus more on an experience, like in the past with Starry Night, for example. Instead of having that, focus more on something that can be raffles or give someone an adventure experience like kayaking or something that will bring people and keep them outdoors. It's just, we're trying to iron it out. It's going to be a little bit of a process, but we're working on that. And even Martha had wanted to sell flowers. And actually I left the meeting early. Kate O'Brien and Ann did, Martha had mentioned like just selling flowers out in the courtyard, just to kind of make that connection with people. We're here, we're raising funds, buy some flowers. And even if you made $200, that wasn't the goal, wasn't to make a lot of money. It was just to make the connection. And did Martha end up saying she was going to do that for sure or not?
Yeah, she's going to do that.
She's going to do that. Okay.
Yep.
So I think that's a good thing. Just like we said, just start seeing faces and start making connections and being out in downtown, that kind of a thing. So I think that's a nice, gentle move forward and back into the limelight. There was a vote taken, I believe, right, to vote was that we had to put on hold funding the Audubon print restoration project until it can be verified that the city is actually responsible for that. So I think there just needs to be clarification with the city as to whose true responsibility it is. I mean, of recent years, it's been the state aid, like Kate has told us in the past, and the foundation splitting the cost of this restoration project for years now. But we are concerned with getting state funding and not state funding, getting certified so that we can be kind of in the clear with the city. Like the city needs to support us as well. We can't just be taking our fundraising money and putting it towards a restoration project when the city has some responsibility also. So we just kind of want clarification on that at this time. So that's basically a general wrap up of what was discussed. Am I missing anything, Kate and Ann? I don't think so. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Talking like almost.
Yes.
So I think that was, and then I'm sorry, there was another discussion of the Friends. So we all know we have the Friends and we have the foundation. And with everything that has happened, there's just been discussion about the possibility of coming together with the Friends, because we obviously have a common goal of supporting the library, our love for the library, and perhaps we can work together at some future time. So we're starting to open up dialogue in that regard. And that's it for now. So I don't have any specifics. Did Martha say when she was actually going to be selling flowers? Did she pick a date?
She didn't pick a date yet, no.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm just waiting to hear. We'll hear, and I'm sure we'll share that with everybody on both boards. And I think that's it for now.
Well, thank you, Stephanie. I do have a question regarding the funding. So as far as I know, we have been taking care of funding the prints through foundation funds. Is that right? And through some library money. Is that right?
It's like a 50-50. It's been a generally 50-50 split between the foundation and the trustee, the state aid. And also we had a fund, Kate, right? Merlin, we had a fund that used to pay that we could tap into, which is, I think, basically there's no more funds left. Is that correct?
Mhm.
Yeah.
What was that fund that's no longer there?
So it's the Sawitsky Trust, which on the budget actually shows that there being $9,500 left, but I'm pretty sure that's not correct. So I'll have to double check with that.
Okay.
But if that is correct and I'm off, then that's one more payment's worth. I mean, we're kind of down to the end of that. That's not like that's pretty much virtually spent for like one more batch.
What was the old collection?
I'm sorry, Tom.
What was the old collection of books we voted on to sell?
That's the Brattle Books Trust.
Yeah.
And that is only to be spent on specifically local history things. And it's kind of nebulous as to what exactly that means. And I can find out more about that. But I don't think it's something that can be used for Audubons. And I wouldn't want to put more of our funds towards Audubons, honestly.
Right.
I'd rather use that money on the actual, on the actual Sutton Room and our collections in there. We're almost done with Audubon prints. I think we have like 40 more prints to go, 40 or 50 more prints to go. We're getting to the end of the restoration. But
and they're getting easier and easier to restore because they're the less damaged ones.
It's still a lot of money though, 40 to 50
Sure.
prints.
Sure. And how much is that, do you think, Stephanie, is the cost for 40 to 50 prints?
Oh, I don't know. What is the bill? The bill that came in for the last set.
so every batch of 20 prints is around $20,000, give or take.
So it's about 1,000 a print.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the thing is, we're raising money. The foundation's raising money to support programming. I mean, yes, it's wonderful to help support the restoration project, but we've been doing it for a long time. And, the city, if they have money, we're working so hard to make, I think our balance is about $50,000 at the foundation, which is healthy, but it's not this huge amount of money. I mean, you can drop 10,000 on a restoration and you're down to 40, so, and to earn that money back is difficult. So,
I wish we can call somebody like Ken Burns to come and do a movie on this. It would be great.
Yeah. As a side note,
Actually, we tried that.
You're breaking up, Don, but Stephanie, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, Don. No, this is just as a side, and I'll make it really fast. I was in Key West over April vacation, and I visited the John Audubon house, so that was fun. He never lived there, but they call it the Audubon house, which is kind of funny. But they had some original, the museum store, which was very small, was beautiful, and they have original prints, and it was just really interesting to hear the story of how he came to be down in Florida and staying at the Samuel Geiger home, Captain Samuel Geiger home, and it was just it was fun for me knowing the history of John Audubon. So it was a little extra bonus for me when I got there.
Sounds awesome. Did you bring us
Son's holiday.
Yeah. No, sorry.
No postcards, thanks. Don, you were saying before we have the motion to accept these reports.
No, I was just answering a question about, I thought I was, about the Audubon prints and the restoration. That's been going on seriously for about 15 years. I would guess nothing had been done for a long time. I was glad to hear that the number is down of the ones that we have left. And we started with the worst ones in fear of losing them completely. And as we've gone along, there's only about 20 of them left. I would love to see that finished as soon as we can. Then we can kind of put it away as a task that has been completed. A lot of the work coming from the board people and our directors. But it's near the end, and I'm glad to hear that. But it's been a long road.
All right, thank you. Do I have a motion to accept the committee reports?
Make a motion to accept the reports of the committees.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Second.
Thank you, Don, for the second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you.
Aye.
Oh, actually, if I can make a correction to myself, I was off by 100 prints. I apologize. We are up to 300. We've restored 311 out of 435.
Oh, then you got a low 100, yeah.
Thank you for that correction, Kate.
Sorry, I apologize.
Okay. Okay, 100 to go.
So 311 out of 434 at about $1,000 each, batches of 20. Okay, thank you. Unfinished business. Do we have any unfinished business? Okay. Do we have new business?
The unfinished business, is that the face mask update? Is that considered unfinished business?
I thought we were going to do that under resolutions. I thought, is that where we do that? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Really? Whatever you want.
Well, let's do it anywhere here because they're all quiet. So is this unfinished business? Stephanie?
I consider it unfinished business because we had voted on it. It went through an email vote. It was voted on the last meeting.
You're absolutely right. So why don't we take a motion on that?
I make a motion to accept the amendment to the face mask policy that was emailed out.
Thank you, Stephanie, and thank you, Rick. Is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
We have one opposed and everybody
Yes.
else in favor. Okay, the motion carries.
May I ask a question of Kate? Are you having any trouble with the face mask policy? Is everyone adhering so far so good?
For the most part, the only times we've had trouble with the policy are the whole mask above the nose thing.
Yeah.
That's what's causing the well, technically I have a mask on. Well, that's not quite what we're going for. And so I felt it was important to add this policy in so that technicalities don't count.
Right.
We need it to be consistent. So.
Okay, well, thank you for that question. And that was unfinished business, new business, and any new business. And resolutions, any resolutions? Hearing none. We're down to number 9. Any matter suggested by a trustee library director prior to issuance of a notice of agenda, an agenda, and any matter suggested, item 10, any matter suggested by any person in writing to the library director prior to the issuance of the notice and agenda of the meeting containing a title and description of the agenda item. Kate, you haven't received anything, right? Okay. All right, that brings us to the end. So I would like to ask for a, wait a minute, let's go with the next meeting date.
We're looking at June 7th, right?
We are looking at June 7th as the first Monday of the month. Okay, so our next meeting will be on June 7th. That work for everybody?
Are we gonna move to meet in person, or are we staying on Zoom?
I think until further notice that we would stay on Zoom.
Okay.
Does anybody have thoughts on that?
I'd like to, I've been working in a school since August, and I feel like our meetings, they're just not the same, of course. And I would prefer, I'm on the side of prefer to have them sooner to come back in person than later. There's plenty of venues in the city that we can sit around and be safe. And we can wait and do a startup in September, which might be a good goal, where we're having June next month. And then I think we're off for July and August, correct? And then we start up in September. For September to be in person, since the state is opening up August, we kind of have a lot of things that will hopefully follow through with what's been planned, and maybe shoot for a September in-person meeting. That's just my idea.
I would agree. I think that doing our last June meeting over Zoom, I think people are actually watching these movies and meetings and tuning in and paying attention, which was really great. And I would hate to lose the momentum for the rest of this year. And also if we did have, I hope that by June 7th, we'll be open. The library will be open on Monday nights, which would be great. And we could have the meeting in the trustees or in the Sutton room because it's bigger, but we would have to all wear masks. I don't think there'll be a rescinding of the mask policy at that point. So that would be an issue if people are comfortable sitting around in masks for a couple hours. I am of the opinion, I think it would just be better to keep the momentum and routine going of the Zoom meetings through next month and then start in person in September, so we don't change things up for only one meeting. But I do want to go back to in person because this is not the same.
Yeah.
I agree, and I'd want to be back in person as well too. But the suggestion of not losing the momentum and still staying on Zoom, and then starting fresh in September, I think those are all good suggestions. So next month, let's plan for a Zoom meeting, everybody. Now, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Stephanie. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Don. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed.
I want to
Thank-
stay on Zoom.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good evening. Take care.